We've heard all too often about people who live beyond their means. Well, here's a story on one multimillionaire whose something is living below his means. He's a big-time CEO of Aetna, Richard Huber. Some call him a CEO crusader.
And Business Center's Jim Paymar spent the day with him recently. Jim?
I did, Tyler Maria. He's been called a civic leader and an urban crusader, and some of his friends have even called him crazy. Richard Huber, the chairman of the gigantic Aetna Insurance Company, moved into the inner city of Hartford, one of America's poorest cities. And when the city couldn't protect the neighborhood from running down, Huber took the matter into his own hands.
December 1941 in Casablanca.
Like Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca, Dick Huber fashions himself after fictional characters.
I go through life in sort of a Walter Mitty type of a dream or a fantasy, and I always try to fantasize that I'm somebody else in some other place.
But the place the 60-year-old Harvard-educated multi-millionaire calls home is no fantasy. His stately brownstone is here on Charter Oak Place, a street once the home of Hartford's high society. Today, it's a street struggling to survive in the midst of urban blight. Now, right around the corner from where the CEO of the $93 billion Aetna Corporation lives is a series of boarded-up housing projects. And right down the street, a halfway house for drug addicts.
We're city folks, and when we came here, we really decided that we can't break our rhythm.
Huber's rhythm is to the beat of the city. And while his corporate colleagues prefer to live in sheltered suburbs, Huber wants to be close to the arts and the ballet.
When you told some of your fellow Aetna executives where you were going to be living, what did they say to you?
They were astounded, speechless.
Seriously?
Well, somewhat,
Yeah.
yes. And sort of, don't you understand? That's not what you're supposed to do.
But Dick and his wife Roberta live by their own set of rules. They own a ranch in the Amazon, regularly go on archaeological digs, and are avid collectors of South American art. Living in the burbs just didn't fit their way of life.
We've never lived out of the city. I was taken by some real estate people several times to the suburbs, and I told Dick I loved being out in that nice fresh air, but that we weren't communicating, perhaps.
What the Hubers really wanted was the grandeur of this 5-bedroom, 1870s Victorian home. They bought it for a mere $275,000, less than half the original asking price of $695,000.
When you first moved into this beautiful home, and you invited some of your friends over from the suburbs, and you told them where you lived, I mean, what did they say when they came?
Well, I think that first reaction was, gee, do we have to bring an armored car or something to come in? I bought those two buildings there.
When reports of drugs and prostitution on the block threatened property values and their lifestyle, Huber acted quickly, buying up 3 additional homes along the quarter-mile tree-lined street.
Once one house on a block goes derelict, it can be like a cancer.
Hopefully we'll use Dick Huber as one of our ambassadors.
Mike Peters is mayor of Hartford, a city that lost half of its 250,000 people as they fled to the suburbs. He credits Huber with single-handedly making an impact.
And really has changed the face of that street. Brought back some housing that was almost in decay.
Now, 2 years later, the neighborhood is jokingly referred to as Huberville and the Huberbs. Dick and Roberta are labeled an urban renewal team, but living as pioneers does have its downside.
We don't have a great supermarket or a Fairways or a Zabar's, but there are little bodegas here that you can buy the basic necessities. ¿Dónde tiene jugo de tomate?
And where he can keep up on his Spanish that he mastered working for Citibank in Brazil.
Bueno, magnífico. Muchas gracias.
A radically different world than the palatial Aetna World Headquarters, just 5 minutes away on the other side of Hartford.
This is the thing I gotta take.
Huber is tirelessly working to restore the value of Aetna stock, which has recently plummeted from 106 to 73. He says the stock, like his neighborhood, will come around when people commit.
If a few people begin to do it and show that you can survive the rigors of living in a city, others will follow.
Well, Dick Huber definitely puts his money where his mouth is. After Aetna stock took its big plunge, Huber bought 50,000 shares of his company stock, a tidy $4 million investment. The reason, like the house he lives in, Huber believes if you're going to make a difference in your company or on the street you live on, you have to commit yourself, period.